Welcome to my views and news. Some news stories for you. First one is about Prosperity Party leaders, Amhara PP party leaders who have raised their concerns with other top Prosperity Party leaders at some meetings held recently. Yilkal Kefale Amhara president is also speaking. He wants some guarantees and clarification from the federal government, from top members of the Prosperity Party, top leaders of Prosperity Party. Secondly, viewers, Amhara Association of America AAA wrote a letter to the Interpol seeking explanation about Interpol's role in the arrest of Gobeze Sisay, because 2 days ago, when Ethiopian federal police confirmed Gobeze Sisay's arrest, the police said that Gobeze Sisay was arrested in Djibouti with coordination between Djibouti National Police, Ethiopian forces and Interpol, International Police. That is why AAA wrote a letter to Interpol. Interpol is denying any involvement in the arrest of Gobeze Sisay. And thirdly, viewers, an African news source is reporting that Ethiopian or Burundian troops could be deployed to Khartoum in coming days. Is there any possibility of the deployment of Ethiopian troops by African Union in Sudan for humanitarian operations purposes? Firstly, viewers, Prosperity Party leaders from the Amhara region are speaking out. They're under pressure, especially after Girma Shitila's murder. Amhara PP top members and PP members from the Amhara region have been raising concerns at meetings held recently, because those who are supporting Ethiopian government's narrative about disarmament, about restructuring of special forces are being declared anti-Amhara. That is why Girma Shitila was assassinated. He was portrayed as anti-Amhara. So other top Amhara Prosperity Party leaders and main Prosperity Party leaders are now worried. Yilkal Kefale has been heard saying at a meeting that he and his colleagues were sacrificing, they were paying the price for decisions being made by the federal government, by the party. It was Prosperity Party's top body which approved the reorganization, restructuring of special forces. And when this restructuring started in the Amhara region, people rejected this restructuring and we saw start of protests. Then Girma Shitila was assassinated. After that, the Ethiopian army launched an operation in the region, and that led to start of confrontation between Ethiopian army and militia members, former members of Amhara special force. Yilkal is in a difficult position. He is saying that he and his colleagues are the victims of the decisions being made by top PP leaders, Ethiopian government. Secondly, viewers, Amhara leaders now want clarification. They want clarity on the issue of Volkayet and Raya, especially Volkayet. Prosperity Party leaders are asking the federal government, their federal government should announce its position publicly about the status of Volkayet and Raya. Why? PP leaders from the Amharian, they say that they cannot convince the groups in the region to disarm if government is not ready to make its position clear on the issue of Volkayet, Humera, Sagade and Raya. Because people say that how can Fano be disarmed while Tigray is making preparations to take back Raya and Volkayet. So clarity is needed. Is Volkayet going to remain part of Amhara, or will it be handed over to Tigray? Same is the case, same is the question about Raya. Ethiopian government is silent, but some sources say Ethiopian government is going to hand over Raya and Volkayet to Tigray. And before that, government wants to silence hardliners in the region, Fano factions, Amhara special forces. That is why operation has been launched. Purpose is that in coming days, the government could make a decision about the future status of Raya and Volkayet. I said, if you remember, in a video a few days ago when protests were underway in Amhara, that at the core of the confrontation, at the core of the tension was unresolved issue of Volkayet and Raya. And that is what is being said by prosperity party leaders who are from the Amhara region. Will Ethiopian government make things clear about the future status of Raya and Volkayet? Or will it keep on saying the issue will be resolved in accordance with the Ethiopian constitution, which is itself ambiguous? Let's see. Secondly, viewers, Amhara Association of America wrote a letter to Interpol because Ethiopian government named Interpol 48 hours ago. Ethiopian government claimed that Interpol, Djibouti forces and Ethiopian forces, they launched a joint operation in Djibouti, and Gobeze Sisay, Ethiopian journalist, was arrested in Djibouti and then he was extradited to Ethiopia. He was shown in Addis Ababa. He is accused of organizing Fano faction and being involved in the assassination of Girma Shitila in coordination with the Fano commanders Merevadjo and Balatishigao. He is in custody. Ethiopian government mentioned Interpol in its statement. That is why AAA wrote a letter to Interpol. Interpol is denying any involvement in the arrest of Gobeze Sisay. In a statement, Interpol said in its reply to the mail of AAA, Interpol says it is an independent intergovernmental organization with 195 member countries. It was not involved in any operation in the arrest of Gobeze Sisay. Interpol does not arrest anyone. Interpol does not extradite people. But Interpol says that in all Interpol member countries, there are national central bureaus, NCBs. These NCBs coordinate between the governments and Interpol Secretariat. And these NCBs are staffed by member countries. They are basically being controlled by member countries. They're separate. They're not part of Interpol. And sometimes by mistake or intentionally, these NCBs are referred to as Interpol. But they're not Interpol. So it seems that in Djibouti's NCB was involved, National Central Bureau, which is, there is NCB in Ethiopia as well. So all these NCBs basically coordinate between Interpol and the respective governments where they are from. So Interpol was not involved in Gobeze Sisay's arrest. It's now clear. Let's see how Ethiopian government now responds, because the government's state media claimed that Gobeze Sisay had been arrested in an operation with participation of Interpol. If you remember, I said that if you want to involve Interpol, countries have to share extensive evidence. Then red warrants are issued. It takes some time. So on that day of the arrest of Gobeze Sisay, I said that Interpol's involvement in the arrest could be a matter of debate, and Interpol is not denying involvement. Lastly, viewers, an African news source is reporting that African Union is considering deployment of African troops to Sudan. Purpose is to start humanitarian operations because people are suffering. They could not be evacuated from Khartoum. No delivery of food to the people trapped in Khartoum, Barim, and Darman. That is why urgent humanitarian intervention is needed. Talks are underway, and the source claims that either Ethiopian or Burundian troops could be deployed to secure humanitarian operations in Khartoum. I don't think that only Ethiopian troops can be deployed to Sudan, because the Sudanese government of Al-Burhan does not see Ethiopia as a neutral player. Especially there are issues between Ethiopia and Sudan over their border demarcation, over building of dam GERD in Ethiopia. And Egypt would never want large scale military presence of Ethiopian troops in Sudan. Egypt is hand in glove with Al-Burhan. So I personally don't see the possibility of deployment of only Ethiopian troops. Yes, Ethiopian troops, other African countries' troops, they can be deployed jointly through African Union's efforts. If you remember, Ethiopian peacekeepers were expelled. They were told to leave Abyei, the disputed territory between Sudan and South Sudan, after Sudan protested. Why? Because those days last year tensions were rising between Ethiopia and Sudan over border issue, over filling of the GERD. Ethiopian peacekeepers had to withdraw from Abyei. So I personally don't see the possibility of deployment of only Ethiopian troops in Sudan. Yes, Ethiopian troops, other African countries' troops could be deployed in some teams for humanitarian operations in Sudan. Let's see. Thank you for watching.